everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we're talking to Marni Jameson about her book, Downsizing the Blended Home, which is her most recent book. Yay! And it follows up from her original book, Downsizing the Family Home and Downsizing the Family Home Workbook. So tell us about I know you've gone through this trilogy of books. How did they come about? How did the first one come about? And then we talked a little bit about the third one, but tell us a little bit about like who are they targeted to and what you hope to get from the books.
Yeah. Well, my readers, I write a weekly column, and they were following me on my journey of downsizing my parents' house, where they had lived for 50 years, and they were, from the Depression era, didn't let go of a lot of things, and they were moving into assisted living, and I was tasked with cleaning out the house, selling the house to pay for their long-term care, and trying to be also a historian of our family's legacy. And it's so painful. And this is a book for anyone, and it's really no one gets out of this life really without doing this for at least one parent, if not both, if not a mother-in-law or a father-in-law, or there's some extended family. I have friends who've done this 4 and 5 times with various people in their lives, and it's really hard. So I wrote that book for after following my experience, being able to talk to experts, estate planners, and garage sale experts, and grief counselors, and organizers about how to let go.
Mm.
And then my own life was going through its transition, and I was leaving a marriage and getting remarried eventually, and had to make two households one. And then I had to let go of a whole bunch of my stuff to make room for my new life. And so I wrote Downsizing the Blended Home because there was nothing out there on how to merge two households beautifully and have both people feel represented and fairly represented and not just erased, and how to bend the boundaries and how to still feel like you're there, but there's room for your future together. And so I did my research there. So this is a great book for anybody who's looking to move in with someone else, whether it's into a partner's home, or they're buying a new home together, or renting a place. And couples, especially if they're a little bit older, and marriages, people are getting older, marrying later, and a lot of remarriages happening. And if you have your stuff and you love your house and you're moving it in with a partner, and you're modern and he's traditional, or he's rustic and you're contemporary, it takes a few conversations to make it work.
Yeah, I
So
think that
that's
I think my husband and I got married when we were 33, and so by that time we had a fair amount of stuff, and as people were getting married later and later, like I had a house and he had an apartment that he could move out of and that he was renting, but still the same issues that we talked about earlier came about, and like should we move into a new, which we decided to buy a new place that was easier for our commute and things like that. But now I want to go back to the cleaning out an aging parents' home, because it's either I've had to clean out my two grandma's homes, and that's not a fun thing to do. And I assume that whether the person is like you're cleaning because the person has passed away, or cleaning it out because they're moving to a retirement home, it's kind of the same deal. I don't know if it is or not.
It's similar, and you're winding down a life, and lives have arcs, and you start off with nothing and you acquire, and then you need to pare down. And I think when you're letting go, on the letting go side, it is hard to see who you used to be or who a parent used to be, and you want to cherish and remember those things. So I think that it's important to understand why this is about your own downsizing too, about why you cling to stuff. And you talked earlier off the show about your pencil case,
Right.
and that's something you're really attached to. And everyone has those kind of things you scratch your head and go, why am I holding on to this? Because once you get anything, that denim shirt you're wearing, you probably remember where you were when you got that, how many you wore it to somebody's birthday party, or something happened in this. You love this shirt, and it was just a shirt on a hanger in a store at one point, but then it became your shirt
Mm.
with these stories, and you endow it with. I have this little jacket that my dad spotted in a mall when he was walking by, and says that reminds me of Marni, and he bought it for me, and I've never worn it, but
Wow.
I cannot get rid of it.
Oh.
I can't, because I just think about my dad walking down a shopping mall and seeing this little jacket, and so it's just a jacket, but it had stories powerful to me. So there are things that we cling to, and you have to understand all the reasons we are endowed with things. It's the same reason kids get attached to blankets or teddy bears. They infuse it with their security and love and good feeling from a parent who's busy in the kitchen. So they're going to hold on to their stuff there because that feels like the next best thing to mom being there. And
Mm,
it's an attachment. And we do that same, men do it with, we do it with cars, we do it with clothes, we do it with phones. So
mm. So you have an arc of you have an arc of your parents' life. You have certain memories that you feel attachment to, like, like you were saying, that jacket that you feel attached to, or this denim shirt. How did, how do you like, and it's hard, right? Because there's a lot of emotional things that are happening in addition to just the practical thing of getting everything out the house. So did you have kind of a rule of thumb? How did you decide what things stayed, what things went? And then you have the additional sibling issues, right? Like, how come you get the blah blah blah, whatever it is? So how did you negotiate all of those things?
yeah, the sibling thing, I didn't have that problem. My brother didn't want anything, and it was pretty simple. Not, he just is kind of a purist. He's
Right.
an architect minimalist. It wasn't personal. Um, so, but I have a chapter in the book about siblings, and maybe there's a way you say, okay, take a turn. Everyone wants to go around the room, one, two, three, pick one item. You get the grandfather clock, you get the piano, you get the bureau, whatever it is, and take your turn. And maybe if a parent is thoughtful before they leave this world, they ask what everybody wants and they help sort it out beforehand. That's super helpful. And they put a picture, Amy wants this painting and I want her to have it. And if the parent can run interference, that can really save some heart feelings. But I think first of all, you have to realize that most things don't have much value in an average household. If you sell all the contents of a house, people think that things are worth kind of what they paid for them, or they think
Right.
they're way over. You just have to get over the fact that your china is worth almost nothing.
Right.
Nobody wants your china, um, and nobody wants your brown wood furniture, and they don't. And so you have to kind of get depersonalize it. Um, and I like to say, yeah, keep a few things, but take the few and the small. So keep the pearls, not the piano, right? If you're going to take stuff home with you that used to be your parents, get the little thing instead of the giant thing, unless you
Right.
need a piano.
Right.
So I think that just taking a few things that are reminders, and I have a couple paintings, and I do have my mom's dishes, and I have her pearls and some photos, but not, I don't need them. I don't need much. Their memories live in my heart. So I think another thing people need to remember is when you're downsizing your own house, it's not a one and done situation. It's a lifestyle. You need to continually be purging as you go, as you buy new things, just let go and keep purging. And a lot of the excuses you need to be familiar with, and I've used every one of them, but it was expensive, but so and so gave it to me, but I might lose 5 pounds, but I wore it to my best friend's wedding. All those things are not reasons to keep anything. You
Mm.
mantra is need, use, love. Do I need it? Will I use it? Do I love it? And if you can answer yes to all those questions, or even one of them, it's time to let it go. So there's a lot of tough love in there, but it's nothing that I haven't been through personally. So
Right.
I'm never top down. I'm never wagging my finger at you.
Okay, because the so of the things I have this this like ch this tea set, and it was crazy because what happened was my aunt had this tea set that my grandmother had that had like the cups, the saucers, everything, and I got like a saucer, a cup, and like a spoon, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? So there's even like an art to splitting this stuff up so that I mean, it was just kind of like, I don't know what you're thinking, but thanks, I guess. Like, I just got this random assortment of stuff because there was this kind of, and it's sort of weird because then I feel guilty throwing this thing away because it was my grandmother's thing, but yet I only have like 1/6 or 1/8 of this thing. So I
Well, you're
don't need it, I won't use it, and I don't love it.
out, out.
It's
Um,
so hard.
you're bringing up a point that I learned in my research is that there are collections and there are sets. And collections can be broken up. Like if you collect Andy Warhol some
Right.
memorabilia. A collector may be looking for one of your items, or maybe you've gotten all this from your parents, and you can get rid of individual pieces. You don't have to sell the collection. Don't be wedded to the collection intact. But a set like you, that the tea set should not be broken
Yeah,
up.
it's like selling getting pajamas and like you get the pajama top, you're like, what? What am I supposed to do?
You get the slippers, you get the robe, you get the top, you get the pants. What good is it?
Exactly. Um, and
Keep the sets together.
are there any other kind of things that, that's what were the common issues that people had about moving, downsizing into a home, like with their family stuff, whether it's their parents' stuff and any other types of advice that you got during that time? You think, okay, when that time comes, I just have to remember like these three things.
Well, I was naive when I went into it. I was living in Florida and this house was in California. I took a week off work and the 2 weekends and figured I was going to take care of business. And I was felt like I just jumped into quicksand. It was so
Mm,
hard. And I needed to get it done because I wanted to get the house on the market and sell the house to take care of their long term care. So I was plowing ahead. But I just don't think anybody realizes what an ice bath it is. It is so painful. It's hard to go through your things, but I think it's harder to go through your parents' things because it's their lifetime. So just, I think, prepare yourself. Have a friend with you, or a sibling or someone that I had my sister in law going through with me, and it was helpful to just have somebody else um, get over the value of things. I found that I was ready to pay people to take it, right? You just need the house. Keep your eye on the ball. My eye is get the house cleared. And and sometimes things will find their way. Like my family's dining room table was well made, and we had every dinner. We didn't have a kitchen table on that. We had one table, and we all had all our meals there. I had many celebrations there, and somebody wanted to offer me like $150 for the whole thing, and I was like, oh, I can't do. I felt that would be a violation of my parents' hard-earned money. I had a hard time with that. And it turned out that the girl across the street, who was now a young woman with a child, and she was a single mom, she needed a kitchen table, and I used to babysit her. And she
oh,
really needed a kitchen table, and I'm 15 years older than she is, and I'm like, I gave it to her,
yeah.
and I know where it went. It was the neighbor, and she needed it, and I felt so much better about that. So I don't know. You can't always wait to find the perfect home, but things will sort out. I went in the backyard and sobbed a couple times, by things that offers I was getting for things that I thought my parents thought were priceless. You just have to get through it,
Right.
um, and try to keep momentum. Get when you're sorting out a house and having an estate sale. Try not to get bogged down in a box of photographs because you're just going to be this sinkhole of sentiment and never come out. I have what I call a pile of postponement. That okay, I go okay. If I open this box, I'm never getting out. So I'm going to put this box in the garage, and when I get rid of everything else, I'll start tackling the really tough stuff.
And what's in the box of postponement? Photographs, what else?
Oh,
Books?
military medals, high school diplomas, pictures from slides from vacations. Oh gosh, there was so much. My parents' letters to each other,
Oh gosh.
hard stuff.
That is, and then what? Here's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. So I have like a box full of stuff from our kids' lives, right? Which I assume they're going to want to keep. Okay. Then there's like, or not. Then there's stuff from my life and my dad, their dad's life. And then, a bunch of stuff that they're like, I'll probably live in a much smaller place because things are getting kind of expensive. Don't assume I'm going to live in a big house, or do I want your couch? I don't want any of these things. And so then there's kind of like, oh, now
Yeah.
it's like it's literally throwing away your memories. And is that the part that's painful? Like my girlfriend literally had the same thing where she had this gigantic box. I don't know how many, I mean probably thousands of photos. I'm not joking. It was like this deep and this like it was just this gigantic treasure chest. And she's like, I can't go. She dove into it. She made the mistake of not putting it in a pile of post moment, and she went into it. And then finally, it just got overwhelming, and she just decided to burn them all because she couldn't take
Wow.
it. So
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what to do with this pile of postponement because it just like it will probably just get recycled. I mean, because in some ways it feels like you're burdening some other generation to take care of stuff that you couldn't deal with yourself.
Exactly. And that's how the kids feel. Like I'm like, don't do this to your kids. My parents had all the good intentions, but wow, did they leave a mess? And it was hard. And so I don't want to do that to my kids. And I try to think about who's going to have to go through this.
Hmm.
And do I really want them to deal with that? And they do not care about my report card in fourth grade. Just don't. So try to let go of these things. I do love the idea of a fire. In my book, I talk about a couple of some kids who found their parents' love letters and on their anniversary burned them
Mm.
outside and kind of sent them back up to them.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
there's something about that, about sending it back into the universe. And I just think that they're not your letters, they were their letters.
Right.
So
And it's not even theirs to read, maybe inappropriate that they read them. Who knows?
yeah, could be. I think it's almost respectful.
Yeah.
So try to, I look at things in terms of, has it lived its useful life?
Hmm.
Thing has a beginning and an end, and you don't need to keep everything on to posterity because it was good and useful for them. Doesn't mean it has a place in your life, but it may
Yeah.
help someone else.
Yeah. I love it. These are really good pieces of advice. Thank you so much. We actually have Marni Jameson talking about downsizing, in this case, the family home, but also
Yeah,
it's one of the trilogy of books that she has, the most recent being Downsizing the Blended Home. Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Thank you.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.